Hi everybody, Clarke from Thrive Physical Therapy and Wellness in Richmond, Virginia, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some alternative things around sitting. Sitting, we know, is not great for us. A lot of reasons that it's not great is that one, it tends to, we tend to get lots of sitting, tends to tighten our hip flexors up, which attach in the front. Also, sitting still and just not moving is just not good for a lot of things, body processing, digestive, all sorts of things, and there's some pretty good research around it, and it's kind of the statement that I've heard said, and it's completely true, is that sitting has kind of become the new smoking. So it gives you an idea that tons and tons of sitting, we're really built to move. We need to move. Everything, we feel better. Everything is just healthier when we move. And so we wanted to teach you a little bit about some alternative sitting positions where we turn sitting, instead of being this static thing where we're on chairs and sofas and that sort of thing, into a more dynamic situation, and realize there's all kinds of really good alternatives to sitting that you can do easily on the floor and in different positions, that you can make it into something that's really sort of fun for your family, and that will actually promote mobility of our hips and our trunk and trunk control and all those really good things. So making it dynamic, you actually get a lot more physical benefit out of it. So we thought we would try to do that for you today. So let's start with just some basic sitting positions. So first off, get rid of the couch, get rid of the chair, get rid of all that stuff. Get a floor. It's ideal if it has some cushioning on it. That's a nice thing. But the first position we're going to start in is just like a long sit. So we're going to be, hang on, shoelace issue. Might as well fix that first on camera. Okay, so anyway, the first one is, this is a standard long sit. Okay, so you sit up nice and tall. Now, if you've got tight hamstrings or real stiff hips, it tends to cause us to want to dump and fall like this. So it's important with any of these sitting positions that you want to be tall. You want the head towards the ceiling. You don't want the whatever the position it tries to push you in. You want to try to keep a nice upright, relaxed posture. Okay, so in this position, if it's hard for you to be here, what you want to do is what you want to do is called posting. So you just put your hands back, support yourself with your arms, so that it makes it easier to maintain the position. So this would be just a standard long sit, and where we start with this is a single side. So we call this a bent sit, where it's one leg is long, straight, and one is bent. You bring this in, and then again, sit up nice and tall. If you wanted to make, and you just get here, and the key element here is being able to be relaxed. You don't want to hold your breath, you don't want to be tense. So every position that you're in, you should be able to be fluid and be able to hold it fairly easily. This actually starts to loosen up my hamstring and my hip, okay? So ways to make it harder. So just this position, okay? You can hang onto a leg. You can work towards being able to sit tall without, okay? Then you can switch legs, okay? So hands down if you need support, hands up, or even just assisted holding in, right? So this is a bent sit, back and forth. You can toggle back and forth, okay? So here's another position. Now it's full bent sit. Actually, I named it wrong. This is called a half bent sit, is what this is technically called. The next one is technically a bent sit, so let me get my terminology right. So the next one is, you want to bend both knees, and then we can use a posting again, chest up nice and tall, and wide stance. You bring the knees in, hold yourself up nice and tall, and just breathe, okay? And in this position, if you wanted to make it more dynamic, and you can actually practice turning and looking behind, turning, looking the other way. If you wanted to go another step harder, you just one arm support. You can go to double knee support, to strong enough to hold yourself up nice and tall. And again, length. This position makes you want to collapse. So you want it nice and tall. It's actually fairly difficult. Really makes your trunk work, hip flexors work, everything else. So just staying tall. Okay. So let's modify a few other positions. Okay. So the next one is a side bent sit. So now we're going to roll one knee. So if you see it, here's bent sit. You roll to one side. So now knee goes to heel. If you feel your knees on this one, point your feet. But again, this position, you want to fall sideways. Okay. So what you do is you post. Chest up tall, hold it up, just breathe, head is back, nice and long. You just hold that position. Okay? This is a side bent sit. Side bent sit to the right. Okay, now we're gonna go side bent sit to the left. So we'll make it, roll it to the left. Again, same thing. You can do a double hand support, single hand support. You can get where you don't have any arms at all. Okay, so it's here. Now we're going to transition to a different figure 4 sit. So here we go, we're getting fancy. So we're going to roll it to here, and now instead of having this knee come down, you bring this one up. So now we're in this position. So you can stay nice and tall, nice and long, nice and tall, holding this position. This one actually feels pretty good. This one stretches out your bottom hip. So you're sitting tall, could be 2. Just roll it the other way. It's the same thing. This position, okay? And then it's all static positions don't necessarily have to all be in contact rear end on the floor, okay? So that's where we're going next, okay? So we can transition up to this, and you go to a roll to one side, and then watch this. We're gonna go up to a tall kneel, okay? So we'll do tall kneel and do a crouch. So you come to here. So here's a nice static position. You can be into like this, sort of. So you're in tall kneel, and then low kneel. You sit down, rear end on your heels, basically upright. Notice how I have my feet are flexed. This takes more ankle mobility. This is a stronger position with your toes in. You got more base, more to hold yourself. This is good for your, loosens up your ankles and your toes. So this is just a low kneeling position, okay? From here, there's lots of other options. You can make this dynamic as well. You can go to a low half kneel. Okay, it could be right leg or left leg. Again, these positions, you want to get where you're comfortable, you're fluid, you can carry on a conversation. Many Eastern cultures use different positions. They don't really so much use chairs, and so they actually have a lower incidence of back pain and tend to be more mobile. So there's lots of really good health benefits around, kind of going without the sofa, so to speak. So tall kneel, here's your tall kneel. Here's your low kneel. Tall kneel, then we can take it to a half kneel. Here, again, another position. Switch it. And then here's another one. Now we're going to do tall kneel, transition to a half, but at an angle, and then we just sit in like this. This is another position. So just, again, chest up tall, nice position. If you need to, you can put your hands on something, but you can switch it back and forth. Lots of times you'll find it's easy to do one way. So like, for instance, for me, this is pretty easy. This feels less coordinated to me and harder. This is my stiffer hip. So you can actually spend more time. It's a really good way and an easy way to start promoting mobility, trunk control. Every bit of this requires mobility in ankles, hips, and also trunk control to hold yourself up. So don't be, and slouched out like this. It's a nice, relaxed position, and don't be stiff, okay? So I'll show you one more in this position, okay? So from here, well, maybe 2 more, okay? So from here, we can go to a crouch, and watch what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna go to a squat position, very functional position. Here's a crouch, deep knee bend, we call this deep knee bend. So crouching, sort of a deep knee bend. And then we go to a deep squat. So I'm gonna use my hands here for a second, but you can just catch your position. So I'm up nice and tall. A couple small things here. It's good to make sure that your feet don't collapse. You don't wanna look like this. You wanna sort of say, you wanna feel like, you want to frame it in a way that your foot doesn't collapse in. So that takes a little bit of engagement with your hips. Okay, so again, here's your crouch. Here's your deep squat. Heels are down. Okay, and then we can make this mobile. We can turn. You'd be surprised how this is not as easy as it looks. Just holding this position. Okay, we can go from tall kneel, low kneel, deep knee bend, squat. Going back and forth. Tall, deep knee bend, low kneel, tall kneel, half kneel. So you get the idea. So you can turn lots of really, really cool positions that you can go into, and you can make just being on the floor. Like, first off, just being on the floor is awesome, but you can make being on the floor and in different positions into a dynamic thing that really promotes mobility, trunk control, all kinds of really cool things. Key is being relaxed, being in good posture, and just getting where let it be something that's fun. Nice family game is, so find a position, get everybody on the floor, and then see if you can mimic different postures, different positions, and kind of stay there for a period of time and switch, copy each other. It's lots of fun. It's actually harder than it looks, so I would encourage you to try it. So anyway, that's a little lesson on dynamic sitting. The thing I'd tell you take home is we're built to move. You want to move. We don't want to spend lots of time sitting, lots of static posture. So try some alternative things. Do things. Make sitting fun. Make it into something that's going to improve your health, not make your health worse. So anyway, guys, hey, thanks for listening, and everybody keep on thriving.